Hi, this is a Pixel Test, and welcome to another Excel lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to be continuing our module on pivot tables, and we're going to be discussing pivot table styles. So, to start off with customizing your pivot table, you're going to select the table, and then up here in the ribbon, you can see another column has been added, Design. So we'll go over to Design, and this is what we're going to be working with in today's lesson. So first, we can start with the styles. So here you can see that Excel already has a bunch of preset styles for us to choose from. So let's say I select this one. You can see it's been applied to our table. And now I can also just switch the styles to whatever I want it to be. There's a bunch of styles for you to choose from for exactly what you'd want. And if none of these are to your liking, you can also go to new pivot table style and you can customize your pivot table by selecting certain elements, go in formatting and choosing the styles for them. In the formatting, you can change the font, the border, the fill, and all these things. So there's a lot of customization that you can do with your pivot tables. If you want to clear any formatting you have in your pivot table, you can always just go to pivot table styles, click on this drop down here, and then select clear. Now to move on to the rest of these things, I'm going to change our pivot table a little. So using what we've learned from the previous lessons, I can customize my pivot table in the pivot table fields. I'll remove app and I'll remove genres. So I just have the categories, and in columns, I'll add the content rating. So now we have the category like art and design, auto and vehicles, entertainment, and all that. And then we have our content ratings. So 18 plus, everyone, 10 plus, 17 plus, teen, and unrated. And their installations per the content rating for each genre. So now let's apply a style to this. Now, one thing I'd like to preface before we get into the styling. Uh, Generally, you wouldn't want to have a style on your pivot tables because it's just a lot cleaner to present and to analyze your data, especially, which is what pivot tables are used for. It's for easy analysis of your data. But if you're presenting a table, for example, then it's nice to have styles sometimes. So that's why we're going to be exploring styles in this lesson. So let's start by selecting any style. I'll go with this medium white. So now let's move on to pivot table style options. As you can see, we have row headers, column headers, banded rows, and banded columns. So let's explore what each of these does. So I've had to change the pivot table a little bit, and I've added genres into the rows by just dragging it from here and putting it in rows. And now we have art and design, all of the different genres under it. So like art and design, action, adventure, art and design, creativity, and that's there for all of these different genres and the subgenres. Then we have the content ratings, the installations per content rating for each of these genres, and then the total. So let's start with row headers. So what does row headers do? Here you can see under art and design, there is this styling that's done for this big header. To remove that, we can remove the row headers, and now you can see that it's only there on the columns. Next is column headers. So if I remove column headers, you can see that the highlights have been removed from the columns, but they're still there in the rows. And if I remove row headers and column headers, then there's really no need for any kind of styling. But yeah, this is something that you can do if you have a pivot table that has the style. Next, the next two options are banded rows and banded columns. So if I hover over this, you can see it says display banded rows in which even rows are formatted differently from odd rows. So this means that my even rows will be highlighted and my odd rows will be not highlighted. So if I select this, the styling doesn't have like a more visible version of it. If I go to this green one, for example, I know this isn't great to look at, but for the sake of the lesson, I'll have to use it. You can see that if I turn this off, it's just normal formatting. And if I do banded rows, then our alternate rows have been highlighted. And it's the same thing for banded columns. If I select banded columns, then our alternate columns, because in our column rows, sorry, in our columns, we have content rating. So it's only this, right? So our alternate columns have been highlighted. And if I select both, then you can see the alternate rows and alternate columns are highlighted. But this is a bit lackluster, and I wouldn't suggest actually going for this unless there's a specific type of data that does require this. Now let's move on to our layout options. First, we have blank rows. So as you can see, it says blank rows emphasize groups by adding a blank line between each grouped item. So here there are two options: insert blank line after each item and remove blank line after each item. Now, what do you think this is going to do?
And remember, if you want to grow your career fast, sign up for our masterclass and course in the description below. It has exclusive and premium content with thousands of other students and professionals. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.
What this is going to do is, as you can see, we have our art and design here and then our genres under this. So we have our main category and then our genres. What this will do is, between auto and vehicles, which is the next category, and these genres, it's going to insert an extra row. So I'll go to blank rows, insert blank line after each item, and you can see there's just a blank row, and that creates a bit of a separation between the different fields. And that's really useful to increase your readability of the pivot table. I can also remove this by going to this and remove blank line after each item. Next up is report layout. Now this is something we've covered in a previous lesson. Basically, this formatting that we have now is a result of the outline form report layout. By default, pivot tables will normally have it in compact form, where we have our rows all together in this one column and then our different columns. So our art and design is there, and then under art and design, we have the different subcategories. And if I had my app names in this also, for example, you can see it becomes really, really cluttered. So just to increase readability, we can go to report layout and change it to outline form. And now we have our category, our genre, and our apps all in different columns like this. And this just greatly improves our readability. I'm going to remove app from our pivot table for now. And tabular form is just a little bit different from outline form in the sense that our genres, instead of starting from one row after our category, is going to start in the same row. So our art and design will show up here. So if I go to report layout and do tabular form, you can see art and design is starting here. Let's go back to outline. But now let's move on to something we don't know. That is, repeat all item labels and do not repeat item labels. So if I select repeat all item labels, what do you think is going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is we have our different subgenres here. For if we select repeat all item labels, this main category art and design, it'll be here as well. So we'll say art and design, art and design, art and design, art and design, action adventure, art and design creativity. So if I select this and do repeat all item labels, you can see that's how it's coming. And this is, you might be thinking that this isn't very useful in this kind of table, but that's because this table is kind of small. But you can see in family, if I go down, if I showed somebody a screenshot of just this without the item labels, you would not know what this all comes under, right? But the good thing about the repeating all item labels, even if I just screenshotted this part and I sent it to somebody, they would know that, okay, the genre is family, these are the categories under it, and then this is the rest. So that's why this repeat all item labels can be useful. And if you select do not repeat item labels, it doesn't repeat the item labels. Now next is our grand totals. For this, I'm going to remove the genres for now and just have the main category. You can see that in our pivot table, at the bottom, we have this one row of grand total, which is for each of these columns. So like for 18 plus rated, this is the grand total installations. For rated everyone, this is the grand total installations. For 10 plus, this is the grand total installations and so on. And then we also have this grand total column, which is for art and design, this is the grand total installations. For comics, this is the grand total installations and all that. Now we can customize with what we want to see. Do we want to see just the rows or just the columns or both or neither? So if I go to design, I can go to grand totals, and you can see we have off for rows and columns, on for rows and columns, on for rows only, and on for columns only. If I do off for rows and columns, you can see the grand total the grand total column has been deleted from here and is gone from here also. If I select on for rows only, you can see that our grand total has come for just the rows, right? So art and design is one of the rows, and its grand total is 124 million. Books and references another row. This is the grand total, and so on. If I wanted it just for the columns, I can do on for columns only. And the cool thing about this is not only does it show just for the column, it will remove the one for the row so that you only see the one for the column, right? So it's on for columns only. You don't have to be like, oh, on for rows and columns, and then I have to delete this to just see the columns. I can just go over here, select on for columns only, and you can see the different grand totals for each column. And then there's on for rows and columns, which brings us back to our default, which is the grand total for each of these rows, and then the grand total for each of these columns. Next, we have the subtotals. Now, let's bring back genres for this. So you can see we have our totals for each of these genres. We have art and design, its total is this. In action and adventure, this total is this. In art and design and creativity, the total is this. So we have all these different totals, and then we have our subtotal under art and design. This entire uh, category, what is the total? Now we can go to subtotals, and we can see a few options here. Do not show subtotals at bottom of group, and show all subtotals at top of group. So if I go to do not show subtotals, we can see that the subtotal from art and design, this overall total, it has disappeared, and we only have it for these. If I went to show all subtotals at bottom of group, you can see another row has come here at the bottom of our table here, like, and it's the total of our art and design. And if I did show all subtotals at top, that would be what our default is, and it comes here. So that was a quick lesson on styling options and layout for pivot tables. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and learned something today, and we'll see you in the next one.
And remember, if you want to grow your career fast, sign up for our masterclass and course in the description below. It has exclusive and premium content with thousands of other students and professionals. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.